Hello and welcome to Tech24 with me, Rebecca Bowring. Coming up in the programme, from the giants of Silicon Valley to anonymous hacktivists, we look at why web users are going to war. And moisture and mobile phones don't mix. We've got nifty solutions for that waterproof handset. The battle for intellectual property has raged online this week with a showdown between Silicon Valley and Hollywood. Websites including Wikipedia and Craigslist went black to contest the controversial anti-piracy law SOPA, and the anonymous hacktivist collective launched a revenge mission over the takedown of Mega Upload, a file-sharing website. Eric Olander, our internet editor-in-chief, is with me in the studio. What do you make of the timing of that takedown? Was it linked to the SOPA saga?
It's very hard to tell. Now, you're reading all these different theories that are out there that, you know, Obama and the White House couldn't get SOPA through if they wanted to. And, of course, they said that they didn't want necessarily to approve this legislation. So as a gift to the entertainment industry, they were going to throw them this bone of shutting down Mega Upload. That is a little too convenient, in my opinion. These are very, very complex legal procedures that were in place. So there's one of three scenarios that would happen in my best understanding. One, it just was timing, coincidence. You know, launching this size of an operation in this many countries with this many arrest warrants and the judicial process being what it is not necessarily something that can be timed to the T. So that's one theory. It just happened to be coincidental on Thursday. There you go. The next one was that it was Obama. In fact, it was a gift to the entertainment industry, which is an extremely important industry to support the president's re-election campaign. So the conspiracy theorists out there are in fact suggesting that as a bone, he threw them this one right there. The third one is it had nothing to do with the White House, but everything to do with the Justice Department's relationship with Congress. Now, remember, there's some very, very important and powerful congressmen who were involved in this bill. And so the Justice Department is sending the signal saying, we understand you. Now, remember, the Justice Department has a lot of issues in front of Congress, so this might have been a gift to them as well.
This website, though, is a sort of flagship for piracy. A lot of people say it's been, representing file sharing and illegal downloads for a long time. The fact that it's been taken effectively offline during this sting operation, doesn't that mean that actually SOPA isn't necessary, that the legislation that's in place is already effective enough?
Well, that depends on who you talk to. Number one, this was an American site in the sense that it passed through some servers in Virginia, and that's what gave the court in Virginia the authority to issue these search warrants, so that some data passed through Virginia. The site wasn't based in the United States. It was based out of Hong Kong. The people weren't living in the United States, so the long arm of American law reached far across the Pacific Ocean and around the world. That's a very concerning trend for a lot of people. The fact that now U.S. jurisprudence extends far beyond the U.S. borders to basically arrest foreigners in foreign countries is something that we should watch as a trend.
And of course, Kim.com was picked up in New Zealand, wasn't he?
He was picked up in New Zealand, and there was arrests made in Hong Kong. There were arrests made all over the world in this case. So that's a very, very concerning trend that the United States really doesn't see any borders to its authority in one sense. But the timing of this, again, comes down to, was Kim.com and was the Mega Upload really that big of an offender? Well, it's hard to tell.
It does have some legitimate use as a site.
But see, that's the key thing. It's that it's a storage locker. So people put all sorts of things up there, things that they own the rights to, family photos, term papers, all sorts of different things that you store digitally online. Now, a lot of that content was, in fact, protected content, and that's the justification that they used.
But do you get a pink Cadillac and a mansion from only running a legitimate website?
Absolutely. Go to Silicon Valley, and there's a lot of pink Cadillacs out there. So that's not a very fair way of characterizing. Just because you made a lot of money, it's somehow illegitimate.
Why is Anonymous getting involved in this? Isn't Kim.com the kind of character they would hate?
No, they like freedom of information and freedom of access to information, and they don't like the draconian laws that are coming down, not only in the United States, but Hadopi here in France and in other countries as well. So Anonymous is reacting to the draconian laws that are coming down and the very clumsy way that authorities are dealing with this. These are sledgehammers they're taking to very, very sensitive industries. And it's really that's what's motivating Anonymous. And we don't know who Anonymous is. That's a very important thing. So all of these attacks that Anonymous has been launching could be for lots of different reasons. Anonymous does not behave as a single entity. And whatever you read about Anonymous, don't believe it. And because there's lots of disinterested, lots of disorganized groups of people kind of working somehow in concert with one another, but we really don't know.
Let's touch on Nicolas Sarkozy, who jumped on the bandwagon straight away to congratulate the US. Obviously, he wants to get as much support as he can for his Hadopi law in the run-up to the presidential re-election, potentially, for him.
This is kind of a joke, because this is coming from a guy who doesn't even know how to use email. And we were talking about this earlier, that, you know, whatever credibility that Sarkozy built up with the tech industry, with the EG8 forum that he had last year, is gone now. I mean, this is a guy who is really, with this act now, with his support of the US Act against mega upload, he's really put his cards down, and he's basically said, I'm on the side of the entertainment industry, I'm on the side of these laws, and that might potentially come back to hurt France and certainly his administration when he needs the support of the likes of Facebook and others.
Thanks, Eric. Stay with us. Test 24 next. Now, if there's one thing that your mobile phone insurance never covers, it's got to be water damage. And now, Eric, you're clutching a glass of water in your hand. What are you going to do? I'm going to
do something that I do not recommend you do at home. Don't do this with your iPhone or any of your Android phones. But this is Huawei's, the Chinese company's, Discovery Expedition. And here we go. You don't see this very often on live television. And boom, in the water. Now, how many times, I sound like I'm selling a product now. How many times have you...
This is not the shopping channel.
That's right. But have you dropped it? Okay, let's say it. In the toilet, in the washing machine.
I put mine in the washing machine, yeah.
It was cooked. You know, it's been in the rain, in a torrential downpour, and phones are very sensitive things. So Huawei's come up with something that's rather ingenious, and this is really the first indication that the Chinese are really coming out with some inventive products. This is an excellent product. So it still works then? Press those buttons. Have you still got any light? There we go. The light's on, and in... Oh, there it is.
So if you're a deep-sea diver and you want to make a phone call home to your mum...
Well, it'll... But aside from that, but let's talk about some more practical reasons that you might use this. Certainly in developing countries where you don't necessarily have steady electricity, there's a flashlight on the back. Very, very useful. It's also got a USB drive. It's also dust-proof, too. This is very, very important in a lot of countries. Here's the best part about it. 149 euros. It's actually affordable. We review so much technology on this show that's completely beyond the reach of most people. For 149 euros, you get a phone.
A Swiss Army knife of a phone.
A Swiss Army knife that's practical and that's useful, and that particularly in places like Africa and the Middle East, where there are a lot of rain problems and dust problems, this is an excellent phone.
And just briefly, we're seeing a trend, I noticed it at CES, for now waterproofing your mobile phones. There's this brilliant thing called Liquipel, which is like a cover that basically it molds the micro level with your phone, and it means you can drop it in any substance. Here it is, as an example.
Be careful with some of these products, though, because they might void your warranties. So you might have a manufacturer's warranty that says the minute you start touching with the frame of it, you're no longer it. With a phone like this, the warranty comes built in with it. So this is a very useful phone.
That technology then is inbuilt in other smartphones later.
One other final point, built-in Facebook, Twitter into this. It's also got internal memory plus a micro SD. Very, very practical phone. Excellent phone.
Solid buy.
Solid buy.
Thanks very much for that, Eric. We're almost at the end of the show. A reminder, as ever, go to our Facebook page to get more information on everything we're talking about, articles and blogs linked to on there, the details coming up on your screen, and also follow us both on Twitter. Now, 1 year ago this week, hashtag Jan25 was born. It's the Twitter reference representing what was at the time the nascent revolution in Egypt and rallying the people in Tahrir Square, a story retold in the programme's closing video. See you again next week on Tech 24.